Hey, large group leaders. I hope you guys are doing really well. I just wanted to share a couple things with you as for some updates and then also just some encouragement. I've heard from a couple of the leaders that have been serving and just kind of course, that are working with the kids in their small groups, that they have really been impacted by the way that you guys teach. So just remember that not only are you having an impact on the kids and teaching them stories from the Bible and the truths from God's Word, but you're also teaching the adults in a lot of ways. We just had a lady baptized a couple weeks ago, and she learned a lot just from studying and teaching the kids in their small group, but also from the large group leaders as they would teach the lessons to the kids. So you guys are just having a really big impact, and I want to encourage you with that. Just a couple tips I wanted to share with you guys. Always try to remember as you're teaching, just a little trick of the trade is to put kids into the story, and you can do that in a couple different ways. First, try to describe and put things from a vantage point of a child. Like as you're teaching the story, maybe ask them if they could imagine, like, do you think kids were walking around and seeing Jesus doing these things? And how do you think people felt? And tell the story in a way that helps to just spike their imagination and helps them really put themselves in those moments along with the stories that you tell as much as possible. That just helps keep their attention and helps them spark their imaginations and things, but also so you can get their imaginations to go into the story, but then you can literally use them as you teach the story too. I don't know what it is, but if you bring a kid up on the stage, you grab everybody's attention at least for a few minutes because they just want to see what you're going to do. They want to see that kid. And sometimes those ornery, outgoing kids that kind of disrupt you, when you're trying to teach, are the best ones to bring up there and use as a helper because it kind of gives them that, that outlet that they need, but then also too, it's a positive reinforcement that you see something in them and the kids really love it. So just use the kids, put the kids in the stories with their imaginations or even physically, literally. And then also, I think I mentioned this before in the training, but I'll just mention it again. Tell stories about yourself. That's a really big deal because the kids will relate to you and see you as a real person. You're an adult, right? But if you tell stories about when you were their age, then all of a sudden it starts to morph in their hearts and mind, and you become more real. So one of the beautiful things about that is that as they relate to you, they start to relate and be more comfortable with the environment. And then they also start to relate to their small group leaders better. And then when they have a question or if something hits them when you teach, they're going to be more likely to open up about that with their small group or just be a little bit more introspective as you teach them. Even though kids aren't super introspective, right? It's still something that they learn, and as they relate to you, they're going to just be more comfortable. And God just works inside of relationships. Always has, always will. So that's another thing. And then also, I mentioned this in the training, but just as a reminder, if you can, use objects while you teach. The objects that you use while you're teaching, props, little things, really help keep the kids' attention. Actually, Trevor just reminded me of that this week because he taught on the armor of God, and then he used a wrestling belt. He wore a Superman t-shirt. He had a lightsaber for the sword of the word, and a helmet, Iron Man helmet for the helmet of salvation, and all those little things. And it did two things. It really helps keep the kids' attention because they want to know what you're going to do with each object. But also, as you're teaching, it helps you remember each part of what you're supposed to teach because you've got it all right there, right? So it's a beautiful thing. Use objects as much as you can to help the kids pay attention, but also help you teach. It's a beautiful thing. And then last thing, I just want to remind you I'm going to send out the schedule again, just that copy, just in case you haven't checked it out yet. And then on the bottom, there is a list of people that are will serve in a pinch, but also that people that their phone numbers, so that if you need to switch with somebody, you can contact that list and see if somebody will switch and take your spot, especially as summer's coming. I know a lot of people are going to be traveling, and if you guys can make a couple calls, it'll really help me. But worst case scenario, don't even worry about it. If you made a call and nothing's worked out, just call me. I'll get it figured out, and you'll have nothing to worry about. But thank you guys for teaching our kiddos and crew. I'm really excited. If you know anybody else that might want to step in, let me know, because I'd like to get this same kind of setup for even our preschoolers. I know some of you have kind of been doing dual roles and doing the game with the crew and with the juniors, and we're probably going to keep doing some of that, but I'd love to have just full-time guys like you also in the juniors rooms, and girls as well, not just guys. I'd love to have some women teaching our kiddos as well. So anyway, thank you guys. If you have any questions, you know where to reach me, and I'll talk to you soon.